This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. It's Thursday, November 7. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Two studies probing crime in at-risk communities are calling for police to get busy in those areas. Today, criminologist Kim Ramsey and University of the West Indies lecturer Dr. Dwayne Devonish released the findings of the Criminal Victimization and Fear of Crime in at-risk communities studies. The study examined communities including the Pine, the Orleans, Deacons, Eden Lodge and Chapman Lane in St. Michael and Wharton in Christchurch. Ramsey cautioned that failure by law enforcement to mend that relationship could result in the uprising of a dawn, citing the example of Christopher Dudus Coke in Jamaica. At the same time, Dr. Devonish stressed the need for police to have the trust of all Barbadians, especially those residing in poor communities.
We made recommendations for a key agent of the criminal justice system, that is the Royal Barbados Police Force. The fact that there was a bigger call for improving the relationships between policing, and not just the community policing. I want you to listen carefully, not just the community policing arm, but policing in general. Because as I just alluded to the story earlier, that you have conflicts oftentimes between what the community police officer wants to do and what a general police instruction or instructive may have come from, let me say, headquarters to go into community to intervene. And then there's no, and the two are not collaborating. So that you're sending mixed signals to the community, where you have a community officer, everything's okay, I can make sure, this fight, drugs, we can deal with this. But that, you got this big storm or raid that a lot of people didn't expect. And then a lot of people blame the community police officer to be kind of colluding and say, well, because he's a police.
A family of 4 lost their possessions after a fire destroyed their home in Curtin St. Philip this morning. Police report that the blaze, which occurred around 10:15, destroyed the 2-story, 3-bedroom wall house owned by Warwick and Janice Eastman. The couple has 2 children. A team of 13 officers from the Barbados Fire Service responded to the fire. Police are continuing investigations. Government's proposed People's Assembly will be free of partisan politics at all costs. That's the word from a Thorne Commission, as it sought to allay fears that the proposed local governance structure would be just another avenue by which political parties could push their partisan agendas. During the first in a series of town hall meetings held at the Graydon Seeley Secondary School on Wednesday night, participants at the event expressed concern that the People's Assemblies could be used as just another political football.
One of the questions you asked was what we think about the non-partisan concept. I love that. How is it going to be achieved in an environment, however, that is so heavily thought, directed, everything along a partisan line? I don't have the solution for that, but I am hoping that we'll be able to find persons who can sit in an objective way on this. While I'm on there, just let me add that quickly. As soon as I saw it, I thought, what was the difference between this and the constituency councils? But again, I haven't had a chance to read it, but from what I've heard so far engaged, it seemed to be a lot more in-depth and a bit more accountability and that type of stuff. So I believe that thought, but I just wanted to be honest and bring that to the table.
Chairman of the Commission and Member of Parliament for Christchurch South, Ralph Thorne, made it clear that partisanship will not be tolerated, and he said the People's Assemblies are being designed to tackle community issues and measures will be put in place to avoid this.
A lot of social relationships are made awkward by partisan considerations. Sometimes your next door neighbor. And people, I use the word made awkward, people feel uncomfortable when partisan politics infects the relationship. And that is something that we wish to avoid, because we're implementing here a social administration, an administration of persons who live in a particular locality. And we feel that it would not be a good thing for that assembly, for that community, if partisan politics should infect it. And we are proposing, therefore, that you cannot sit on an assembly as a BLP or DLP or whatever is the name of the party. Right. That you must come in your own right, with your own personal integrity.
Right.
And as I've said before, partisan politics creates discomfort among next-door neighbors, among streets sometimes. We wish to avoid that.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Roots Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back to Regional News. In the Bahamas, Prime Minister Hubert Minnis has rolled out the new Disaster Reconstruction Authority bill to strengthen the country's response to disasters. More in this report from ZNS Television.
The Bahamas Disaster Reconstruction Authority bill outlines the work of the Bahamas Disaster Reconstruction Authority that's responsible for the management of reconstruction and restoration in areas designated as disaster zones. The Prime Minister can also declare an impacted area a disaster zone. Then there's the implementation of the Bahamas National Recovery and Reconstruction Trust Fund, which is an independent and non-political body to help fund home and building repairs.
The category are set out and the priorities are set out, and therefore one cannot make decision that this is a PLP or this is an FNM or this is a DNA. The hurricane affected Bahamians. And the Speaker, with a transparent board with trustees, such an entity can remain indefinitely so that monies can continuously be deposited and individuals would not be placed in a position of having home repairs, but hopefully we would be able to construct and rebuild individual homes.
In international news, a New York judge has ordered President Donald Trump to pay $2 million for misusing funds from his charity to finance his 2016 political campaign. The Donald J. Trump Foundation closed down in 2018 after prosecutors accused it of working as little more than a checkbook for Mr. Trump's interests. The judge ruled that charities such as the one Mr. Trump and his 3 eldest children headed cannot engage in politics. She ordered that the money must be paid by Mr. Trump himself. And that's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.